So Grounded 2 has launched, and the question is why? There are a lot of people who thought that, well, Grounded 1 just came out fully, and there is no reason to have Grounded 2 at all. This game is complete. Why do you need to go and expand everything in a second game while you still have really well working first game? So yeah, let me talk about this and let me give you the comparison between the first and the second game and why second game even exists. You see, my first reaction when I heard about the Grounded 2 launching was exactly like I said, why it even exists. Grounded 1 is good game in its own, and even though I have never reviewed it on the channel, I actually played quite a lot of it, and I played it with my kids, and they enjoyed it quite a lot. The atmosphere, the setting was absolutely beautiful, and it made one of the more unique survival games that I've ever seen. There are not a lot of games like this one, and this game did not require a sequel if you ask me. But it turns out you can do much more with the second game. And I guess maybe it was the engine issues, or maybe they just wanted to make another game for the monetization purposes, because yeah, the Grounded 1 was not a pay to win, was not a live service game, and I actually really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think they actually chose the better way to fund the game without selling their soul. I think maybe it's debatable, but still it is. But to be fair, these games are not very similar. There are a few things that make these games distinctly different from each other. And let's start with the game engine. I know this is not a really interesting thing for you, but trust me, it plays a huge role. The first game was made on Unreal Engine 4, while second is made in Unreal Engine 5. So basically the first big change between the first and second game is the switching of the engine, upgrading engine to much more powerful UE5. But you see, there is an issue here. Unreal Engine 4 worked really well. Even in early access, Grounded 1 was really good game to play, and it had not a lot of issues, not technically at least, while Unreal Engine 5 and Grounded 2 has a lot of issues. People are reporting very low performances, crashes, bugs, and yeah, even I have experienced. Usually I don't experience things like that a lot in a lot of games, but I did. It was not a lot, but it was there. So yeah, if you want the big comparison is that yeah, even though you have much better visual fidelity, you are paying price for it. And I think when they will be able to actually fix this, yeah, the actual difference between the first and second game will show up. But right now, yeah, it's really not a biggest upgrade. The second upgrade is, of course, the game world. And yeah, this time we're playing a much more different game world compared to the first one. Well, it's not much more different, to be fair. So you're still being miniaturized and you're still playing in a garden variety. But if you are playing in a backyard in the first game and the second game, you're playing in a full-fledged park. And this is not just a simple few grasses and ponds and very similar looking territories around you. The biomes made a huge difference in this game. When you move from one biome to another, you will see like it is a completely different spot that requires completely different approach. Like for example, if you're gonna go to an ice cream biome, it's freezing, it's cold, and you need to fight freezing cold all at the same time while fighting a bunch of different enemies like scorpions. And yeah, it's really good, interesting gameplay mechanic to add. There is also garbage biome that will require you to equip gas masks because you have a poisonous fumes around you. First game did not have things like that. It's also important that because of these biomes and because of all the changes, the size of the world increased by a lot as well. The second game is at least 3 times larger than the first game, despite it just being launched in early access. That means the world will expand way more in the future, and in the plans we even have a new biomes prepared, so meaning that the world will actually become much larger, and we even have an aquatic expansion as well in the future, meaning that swimming and water creatures and water bases will become a thing in the future, which will differentiate this from the first game even further. And game is becoming much better because of that. But even that's not all. The next upgrade is of course through the story. Even though first game had a story as well, in the second game it's much more fleshed out. You right from the get-go have ready-made cutscenes just fleshing out the world for you. You have clear characters and you have clear motivations, whatever is happening around you, and all it unfolds into something really interesting mystery if you ask me. And even though it's not fully fleshed out yet, it's not even fully ready yet, what we have right now is really good and making it, I think, even better than what we had in the first. I guess it's arguable, but I think if not the story, the storytelling in the second game is way better. But one thing, even though though very insignificant in its nature, makes this game completely different from the first game because it turns around an actual gameplay loop of you and what you do in this game, and it is buggies. You might think that having mounts in this game makes this game, well, a bit different. Yeah, well, so what? You have mounts and you can run around like crazy. No, this changes gameplay mechanics and gameplay loop a lot. And let me tell you why. In the first game, when you needed to move around, you needed to be really careful and really methodical on what you did, because you were not able to outrun basically anything in this game. You can outrun them in the later stages, but not in the beginning. The enemies were way too fast and you need to actually fight them and you need to actually evade them in some ways. While in the second game, you can literally outrun anything. Buggies are that fast. You can whiz through an entire map without anyone ever touching you and without ever anyone going to get you. Buggies are that fast. And even if you decrease their speed by half, they would still be that fast. Speed is not an issue here. It's not an issue at all. It just makes the game completely different. In the first game, you need to be extremely careful to not trip any wire. Here, until you get your first buggy, it's very similar to that. But when you will, the game changes completely. You are not alone anymore. You have someone to fight with at any times, and you have someone to take you out from the combat really fast at any time. And to give you a comparison, even in the earliest of the games, when you get your first buggy, and you get for the first buggy, it's minor spoiler alert, in an anthill. Anthill is really full of mazes and you really need to understand where you need to go. And it will take some time until you will get this ant. But when you will get your buggy, when you will get an ant, you will literally blaze through entire base in a matter of seconds. And the ants themselves are not that big of a threat anymore because you have someone to fight with you. You can actually wait until they will take away aggro from you and beat the crap out of anyone in this anthill. It's that overpowered. Don't get me wrong, it's not making game easy. It's making easier in the beginning, but in the later stages, your buggy will be beaten up by a lot of different enemies. But in the beginning, it changes the game that fast. You don't need to really look out for an enemy. So you can go to your objective and complete it. And it doesn't mean that objectives themselves are becoming easy. It's just the path to the set objective is easier. And in my opinion, I think it was required because of the size of the world. You don't need to die over and over again because you are going just a little bit further from the base. You don't need to do that. And buggies save you from that. Basically, because of the buggies, no place is too far from your home base, and you can actually have one really fortified base instead of multiple different ones scattered around the map, even though you can still do that. And probably another big change that I talked about in my review is Almond Tool. Man, this is a great change. Almond Tool is basically the tool that, well, takes away the need to craft harvesting tools from you completely. You don't need to have separate hammer, you don't need to have separate shovel, you don't need to have separate wrench. You have them all in one, and it is with you at all times, and it is completely 100% indestructible. Thank God. Thank God that you don't need to craft the billion axes just to go and chop down some grass. You don't need to do that, and I love it. This is probably one of the biggest changes. And yeah, of course, there are a bunch of smaller changes, especially with the UI, but I think many of them will change quite quick because of the feedback the players are giving to the devs. And to be fair, even though the games are different, they're not that different, to be fair. But that is only temporary because as the content will continue to release, as more content will drop, the games will differentiate from one another much more, making them much more distinct things to get. And I think I love it. Oh, and if you haven't watched my actual review of the game, you can watch it right here. It's a full review of the game, at least at the launch of earlier. And you can watch any other video right here, whichever will be provided to you. Don't forget to subscribe right here as well. This is for date, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Take care.